Hello and welcome to Camera Reviews. I've got a very special book today. It's by a photographer who is no longer with us, sadly. It's an amazing individual called Tish Murtha. Some of you may have seen this book or are familiar with her work recently at the Photographer's Gallery. This book was published by Blue Coat Press. The hardback, this is the hardback. You can buy the softback from the Blue Coat Press website. I will put the link at the end of this YouTube video, and I will put a link for Tish Murtha's website as well, and you can see her youth employment pictures, but a real insight into who she was and what she did, and the work Ella, her daughter, is continuing to do to keep the legacy of Tish going. And she's introducing all her work into contemporary channels now, and there's a new book due very soon with Blue Coat Press, and I look forward to that. And like I said, this youth unemployment has just been at the Photographer's Gallery. This project is special to me. It's literally from where I grew up. I was roughly the same age as these kids on here, maybe a little bit younger, around the period this was shot. This is from, most of the shots in here from Newcastle. There are some other pictures in here from Newport and other earlier images, which are sort of giving an insight into Tish's work, because this is her sort of first book, the book I think she dreamt of having and should have had. And for Ella, and the help of people like David Hearn, Colin Wilkinson at Blue Coat Press, amongst other people like Paul Rees, all these people who've sort of made this happen with Ella at the forefront, leading the way. In fact, Tish at the forefront, because the work is fantastic. And I don't want to cast any opinion on it, because I think it's a lovely piece of work. I want to show you, I want to make you aware of the work. I want you to get out and buy it. I definitely think you should buy the next book which comes out, if it's as good as this. It'll be amazing, and it is, because I've seen some of the pictures and they're fantastic. I think her early work was shot, I think she exhibited at the Side Gallery many years ago when I was a student up in the northeast, and I do remember something being on around Tish Murtha's around 91ish, and I'm sure I went down to the side to see it. It all rings bells in my head, Tish Murtha, but admittedly, it was only the last sort of 2 years with the whole Ella's journey in getting it all realised, is when I became aware of it again, and there was some familiarity with it, not just with the location, but also with the pictures themselves. Let's have a look. And it's heavy. It's a big book, classic style size from Blue Coat, nice and heavy. It's just about 12 by 11, about 1 foot by just about 11 inches, about 12 by 11. It's a lovely size, almost a square format shape. This cover is just fantastic. Let's just have a quick skim through. We'll have a look. There's Tish. An introduction. This is Ella, and this is just an introduction. By Ella. Some of her Newport work, where she was a student under David Hearn. Oh, I love that shot. It's beautiful. I think this is from the new series of Elsa Kids around 1978. This is just fantastic. If this is anything to go by, it's going to be a real beautiful book. So I think this is some of her early work, 77, you know, starting to sort of showing that documentary spirit, that being in environments and getting a camera out and documenting the world around her is just amazing. So, 1979, juvenile jazz bands. I remember jazz bands as a kid, and they have a fond memory in my head. We have to remember where we are with these pictures. 1979, Thatcher's Britain, high unemployment, industries, the traditional industries like shipbuilding, like coal mining, steelworks were all being strangled, were all being held ransom to the Thatcher government. There was a lot of strikes. People might argue, people might think, sort of fond memories of Thatcher's Britain, but I was a child in this time. I was in the northeast. I was at the other end of this other side of this. I was in the Sunderland area, and I was from my sort of memories are based around Monk William Colliery, but I still had a big association with Newcastle. I was there. I witnessed the stranglehold Thatcher had on my community, and I saw men in turmoil, people in turmoil, and there was a lot of violence. There was a lot of conflict. There was a lot of brutality, not just in terms of people fighting each other, because on the contrary, I think this period there was a massive community spirit. People were in it together. People were surviving together. So there was this brutality of it's coming out in music. It was coming out in sport like football. There was a rivalry. There was a there was a lot of tribalism, and there was a lot of that was directed in violence and culture, and even the TV shows like the Sweeney and all these programs which showed society in conflict. But at the same time, and what I think Tish's work is showing something I was part of. And for anybody who knows me as a kid, or knew me as a kid, who I'm still in touch with, or I've not been in touch with for a long time, they could look at these pictures and think, this could be me. Because in my village where I come from, there was maybe 30, 40 of us, and we were strong. We were as thick as thieves. And I think with Tish's work, Tish is showing not only the brutality of and the regeneration and the landscape, which was under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of political and social conflict, if these are the right words. There's the people who lived in these places were strong, were together. And this, for me, going back to something like, Chris Killip's work, John Kippin's work, documenting these communities in different ways, but showing that sense of interaction and togetherness and beauty and love, I guess, and people just got on with stuff. And this is why when I look at this work, it really has a sense of me in it. I associate myself with a lot of this. And you have to be a clever photographer, you have to, people turn up and shoot, and you've got to be looking for something. And I think with Tish's work, she was always looking for something. She was always looking to bring together the people and their interaction with each other. I think where they were was secondary. She was looking for a bond, a communication with the people. She was photographing what they had with each other. This shot is just, 13 Kenilworth Road. Look at the togetherness. Forget the environment. Look at how everybody working together and how she's seeing and bringing that decisive moment together. And the link here with the guys, it's kids at Elsick Road Post Office, and the guy looking at us and say, "Oh, you're not up to any good. Have you nicked this milk bottle?" Who knows? But there's a sort of strong emphasis on, it's a strong emphasis here on them and us, which is quite interesting. But again, she's bringing there's a unity of people, there's a unity, there's a togetherness, there's a beauty, there's almost a romanticism there. It's almost like a film still. Quite a poignant statement. And I think a lot of people at the time here were not just about education and people striving to better themselves. Actually, a lot of this was put onto themselves with the wind down of industries, the changing face of the economic climate. I remember people from Newcastle relocating around the country. I remember the buses going out as a kid. My uncle was part of that, being shipped out to different parts of the country to get work because there was just no work here. So we're looking at people not necessarily who don't want to work. We're looking at people who are forced in a situation where they can't work because there's no jobs because of the changing situation in the economic climate with the breaking down of the industries, like I keep saying. So, and there's also that leisure, that I don't want to do anything attitude as well, and it's not like that. Obviously it wasn't all YTS schemes, it wasn't all government-based jobs, it wasn't all like probably this is, it wasn't all people being stripped of their work as well. There was a sort of a bad attitude in a sense of, I don't want to work, blah, blah, blah. But not everybody, as I know, and I'm sure a lot of these people on here worked very hard, and I know a lot of people who worked hard, but at the same time I know people who didn't want to work, and I know people who were happy to sign on to the dole. And so, we've got a beautiful way and a beautiful insight to people who are together. And Tish gained a lot of trust very quickly with these people, and she was potentially part of that community as well, and they just let her do what she had to do. But at the same time, you like I've just mentioned, you've got to be looking for something. You need to be exploring something. And I've said this in other reviews, and I've said this, and I say this to students. To be a great photographer, you need a vision. You need to know what you want to say and find the right subject matter to direct your message through, and whether it's technically and whether it's in terms contextually, in terms of giving it some meaning. And this, I think, is exactly what Tish did. She knew what she wanted to say, she knew who she wanted to focus on, and she did it. And she's shown a period of time of, as it's shown here, bored silly. She's shown a period of time of people procrastinating, but procrastinating for what reason? And they're the questions I think I like about this whole process.